All right, good Sunday to you wherever you are. I'm on the road. It's a travel volleyball weekend for my daughter and my family, so we are on the road. And I took the equipment with me. Yes, I brought the mic with me in the car. You'll thank me because the audio is generally pretty bad without a good mic. So anyway, we're talking about the snow across the south and the potential for seeing what I find quite significant. If you look at some of the discussion that's come out from the National Weather Service out of, I think this was Lake Charles. Yeah, this was Lake Charles. They're talking about higher snow totals could lead to significant weight additions and failure of flat roofs and overhangs. Pretty wild to see that come out because, if you think about it, some of the snow here could technically be heavier. And because of that, they're starting to put that wording in some of their products that are coming out. More about that in just a second. Let's look at the snow that's moving through the east as we head through the day today. That's going to continue to roar up the east coast, I should say. We're going to get quite a bit of snow here. Multiple winter storm warnings have been put out for these areas for heavy snow. All right, so we're going to get some decent accumulation out of this. Some places seeing close to a foot, I think. That will wrap up today, and then this cold Arctic air builds in here from the north. That will continue to stick around for the next several days. And this air is straight from the North Pole, so we're talking about well below average. Wind chills in some areas, especially across North Dakota, Minnesota, pushing close to 60 below. Pretty impressive to see that, and it's no wonder we're seeing the potential for snow all the way down to the Gulf Coast as a result. Now our attention turns to what happens here. Low pressure is going to try to develop right here along the coast. As that happens and it moves to the east, the potential is on the table for that wintry precipitation, and there could be some heavier bands. That's one of the issues with this system as it moves off to the east. So that snow could get heavy at times, and I think there's always a problem with the microphysics of things when you get this kind of snow this far south. So there could be some heavier banding of snow, and then not only that, you're dealing with the melting, the compaction. All of those things happen, and there could even be some mixing with freezing rain, and that would cut into your snow totals. The European wants to bring this up the coast just a little bit across South Carolina. The GFS from this morning, a very similar outcome from today's storm, but across the south, it wants to get a little less precipitation here into Georgia and across the Carolinas. If you notice here, it doesn't want to bring it up here into North Carolina. So a little bit of time before we resolve that see as far as the track goes. Low pressure likely moving up the coast today and deepening. It's going to get stronger and the snow starts to pick up. We'll pick it up, see that snow into Northern Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland. Also some lighter snow, although not insignificant, back across Tennessee, Kentucky, and even into Ohio. Western PA will get some snow here too, but the big snow for, Western PA will pick up as we head into the lake effect regime of this system that's moving through and this cold Arctic air that's plunging south. Big snows for the Northeast as we head into Monday morning. It could be heavy into Boston, north into down East Maine, and into the rest of the Northeast with temperatures cooling off here and starting to get downright cold. High pressure building into the south, and there comes our precipitation along the Gulf Coast. More on that in just a second. Let's look at these snow totals. Again, in the east, across the Mid-Atlantic into the Northeast, heavy snow expected generally along and west of the I-95 corridor or north, depending on where you are, kind of runs right across Connecticut. So if you're north of 95, I guess you're going to probably see a better chance of snow. And then there comes the snow across the south over the next couple of days. These are touched numbers from the National Weather Service. It gives you an idea of how much snow we're looking at in the forecast. Into parts of West Virginia, some places could see more than 6 inches. You can see the snow across southwest Virginia, eastern Kentucky, 3 to 6 in some areas. Anything over blue is a chance of more than 2 inches. Those snow totals fall off pretty quickly once you get east of the mountains here towards Roanoke, down toward Winston-Salem. Very little, if any, accumulation expected here. But into northern Virginia, that snow picks up. So around D.C., we're going to see some snow accumulation here. I think 1 to 3 looking likely. You get back northwest of 81 or along the 81 corridor, a good 3 to 6 likely here. And then up into southeast Pennsylvania, some snow. Some areas could see more than 6 inches, especially north and west of Philadelphia. Get up here into eastern PA. It looks like to me a good 4 to 8 inches, and then into the mountains of West Virginia, maybe close to another foot of snow. There's a lot of snow on the ground here too, by the way. And then over toward Harrisburg, a solid 2 to 4, maybe locally higher if you can get that snow to band out. Your eyes were probably drawn to the lake effect. Clearly a big deal here. East of Lake Ontario, we're probably going to see 2 to 3 feet over the next several days. Southeast of that, here into New York City, looks like we're going to get some snow out of this. The official forecast from the National Weather Service showing, 5.4? So those have trended up over the last couple of days. Once you get into parts of Connecticut, we're looking at 6+, I think. Once you get up toward Danbury, Waterbury, Hartford, Bristol, Farmington, I'm thinking all those little communities through Connecticut here, up north of that, up towards Springfield, and then into western Mass, a good 4 to 8, and then some places may see close to a foot if we can get the snow banding to pick up here. There's some of the timing of that snow moving into the overnight. Now we're looking northeast of that into Vermont and New Hampshire. Some snow here, and then also over towards Providence. We're going to get snow out of this. The official forecast showing 5 inches, give or take a little bit, and then the snow picks up into Portland, Maine. We're going to see snow, maybe more than 6 inches of snow here too, and that pushes off to the north and east as we head into Monday. And again, parts of eastern Maine could pick up 7, 8, 10, close to a foot of snow. Not 10 feet of snow, 10 inches up to a foot of snow. You knew what I was saying. Okay. Across the south, here we go into Texas. That cold air is going to be in place. Now we've got the moisture moving north. Now let's back this up just a little bit and time it out. Heading into Monday, most of Monday looking okay. The cold's going to be there. We're going to get some snow, by the way, too, moving down the face of the Rockies into Kansas and Oklahoma. Relatively light, though. That's sort of the energy, if you will, that's going to slide along the Gulf Coast and develop low pressure. Now you've got the snow, sleet, freezing rain mix nastiness across southeast Texas into Louisiana. And the issue across Louisiana is some of the snow bands could get heavy. That could drop some quick snow. And again, with heavy snow across the south, those flat roof structures, sheds, may not be able to take some of the weight, especially if we can get heavy banding of snow, because some of the high-end guidance is pretty heavy. So if you get 10 to 12 inches of snow, I mean, it's probably not likely, but it's on the table, right? If you get that kind of snow on a building, especially built in the south that's not used to seeing snow at all, it could be a problem. A little bit further to the east, I will tell you the best chance for snow to me appears to be across Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and maybe even southern Alabama. But look what the European does, or the GFS rather. It kind of squelches things as it moves into Georgia. Still some snow possible here, but it looks a little more likely further to the west. Looking at some of the forecast numbers here, a little bit closer into Texas, Houston, it looks like the official forecast is between 2 and 3 inches of snow. You get down toward the coast, a lot lower amounts, but still, snow this far south in Texas, really impressive to see that here from the forecast from the National Weather Service. Here's the official forecast across Louisiana into Mississippi. An average of 2 to 4 inches. Along the I-10 corridor, I would say 3 to 6, maybe even 8. And if you can get some snow banding, which will be very difficult to really specifically show you where that will be until those micro things start to take shape, those bands of snow, the idea I think is still on the table. Further to the east, the snow amounts a little bit lower here across Alabama. Southern Alabama, 2 to 3 inches of snow into the very southern part of the state. Once you get down here towards Panama City, those numbers really go away, but there's still a chance of some freezing rain and some ice, even down to the coast. There could be freezing rain on some of the ships just a few miles off the coast with this cold air that's just settling in across the south. And then lower amounts into Georgia, we're talking about a couple of inches or so. Now over towards Macon, maybe we get an inch or two. South towards Columbus, Georgia, you get down towards Savannah, an inch or two possible. And then even the forecast reflecting some snow across South Carolina, Charleston, an inch or two, up towards Columbia, about an inch. And then as you get north of that, those numbers fall off dramatically. And there's some questions still about what happens across the North Carolina coast. The temperatures are going to be a huge, huge problem. We're going to stay below freezing in many areas for several days. These would be your low temperatures on Monday morning. Look at the mountains into Virginia, West Virginia, below zero, also into the Northeast, back into the Ohio Valley, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, near zero in some of these areas, and then below zero up near Chicago. It's going to get even colder, though. That's really kind of the primer, if you will, as we head into Tuesday morning. And by the way, your highs Tuesday, look at this. Some areas not getting out of the single digits. Monday's going to be a really cold day. Tuesday is going to be an even colder day for some of you, especially across the south. Look at Louisiana. Temperatures not getting above freezing in some areas as we head into the afternoon and evening hours, and that cold air continues to push to the east. So as we move into Tuesday night into early Wednesday, look at those lows into Louisiana. I know it's hard to see, but I see a 13, an 18 showing up here, and that's because the model's picking up on the idea that there would be some snow on the ground. And by Wednesday morning, the modeled out number here across southern Louisiana, 9 degrees. I don't know that it's not impossible, because if you get some snow on the ground, some ice, you get clear skies, calm winds, now you radiate out at night, you could get really, really cold. And that's pipe-busting cold for that far south where there's not a lot of protection for cold like this. Across the Great Lakes into Pennsylvania, Ohio, some of these lows could get into the teens below zero. These are air temperatures, not wind chills. Add the wind to that. A breeze at 15 below is going to feel awful. So you can see the idea. And with cold air moving across the Great Lakes, it's incredible to look at the idea that it may actually be so cold that we limit the lake effect snow somewhat, or at least the potential in some areas, because your snow growth region is lower in the atmosphere. I'm not going to get into all the physics of it, but the idea is that cold air can't hold as much moisture, clearly. However, the lakes do generate their own convective energy, their own heat, so I still think we're going to get quite a bit of lake effect snow off of Ontario and Erie. It may be limited more up towards Superior and Michigan, but still some snow on the way, and temperatures will warm up a little bit, if you call it that, by the end of the week. And by Saturday and Sunday, the snow across the deep, deep south is a distant memory as we push 70 in places where we're going to see snow. Wild. These are air temperatures heading into Monday well below zero. 20s below zero across Minnesota and also into North Dakota. Maybe even 30 below as we head into Tuesday morning, with freezing temperatures pushing way to the south. We've talked a lot about that. You can see how that core of cold air moves toward the Great Lakes, and then some warming back across West Texas starts to be felt by Thursday and Friday. That's a sign of that change that starts to happen. But look, some more cold air tries to invade the northern tier as we head into Friday and Saturday. Look at these wind chills. I just zoomed in on this for Monday morning. It's hard to see, but that's a 60 below here showing up on some of the model data across North Dakota. We've got 30 and 40 below numbers widespread through this region, and the official, they've changed it to cold weather warnings now instead of the wind chill warnings. But anyway, you're looking at wind chills that could push 55 below in the warnings that are coming out. Wild to see that cold. Across the west, high pressure holding on. No changes here. We need some moisture back here because, I mean, it's just been so dry, especially compared to last year. Not nearly as much snow here. Maybe a little bit moving into Montana and Idaho by the weekend, but what you don't see is a Pacific connection with moisture moving into the northwest or even into California, as far as I can see, into next Monday. All right, that's all I got for now. See you next time.